Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and Christmas is over, New Year's here, things have stayed the same. The media is once again, and by say media, the mainstream media, one side of the mainstream media, is trying to go on and on about COVID again. Look, guys, it's been like 3 years. The fear-mongering just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't. The majority of people don't care. Even the majority of people on Twitter don't care. When you can have hashtag prosecute Fauci trending on Twitter and the vast majority of people interacting with it actually agree instead of disagree, you've lost the narrative. It's over. Maybe you tried to get it back with monkeypox and that failed, so you're defaulting to good old faithful COVID again. Let's look at this right here. Omicron offshoot XBB.1.5 could drive new COVID-19 surge in U.S. This just sounds like a Star Wars droid. XBB 1.15. Like, it just doesn't... It doesn't have the ring to it like Omicron does. Now, granted, the reason Omicron has such a good ring to it is because of Futurama.
I am Lur of the planet Omicron Persei 8.
But David X. Cohen and Matt Groening's masterpiece notwithstanding, this is just a dumb name that doesn't hold any meaning. No one's gonna look at this and quake in their boots. For weeks, scientists have been watching a slew of Omicron descendants duke it out for dominance of COVID-19 transmission in the U.S., with the BQs, BQ1, and BQ1.1 seeming to edge out all the others to claim a slight lead. Talking about like it's a sporting event. The result has been a gradual rise in cases and hospitalizations that never seem to reach the peaks of this summer's BA5 wave, and certainly nothing like the tsunami of illness caused by the original Omicron strain a year ago. So out the gate, you're saying, yeah, there's going to be more COVID, but it's a weaker variant. Then why even worry about it? Who cares? If it's a weaker, lamer variant, when Omicron was already a weaker, lamer variant than the original, so it's a weaker, lamer variant of a weaker, lamer variant, that's like weaker, lamer variantception of COVID. What's the point in this article existing? But on Friday, the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention's COVID-19 variant dashboard revealed a new dark horse that could soon sweep the field, XBB.1.5. The CDC estimates that XBB.1.5 has more than doubled its share of the COVID-19 pie each week for the last 4, rising from about 4% to 41% of new infections over the month of December. In the Northeast, the CDC estimates XBB.1.5 causing 75% of new cases. For a few months now, we haven't seen a variant that's taken off at that speed, said Patricia, insane last name, Roychudry, director of COVID-19 sequencing at the University of Washington School of Medicine's Virology Lab. Virologists and epidemiologists say this Omicron sublineage has features that may give it the potential to drive a new surge of COVID-19 cases in the U.S., although it's still unclear how large the wave will be, whether it could send many more people to the hospital. So it's like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure of COVID. You had the original COVID, which was, frankly, very, very mixed opinion-wise. Some people thought it was a hoax, other people thought it was far more deadly than it was. Then you move on to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 2, Battle Tendencies. That's Omicron. Universally looked at as the best, or in this instance, the scariest, with me on the outside saying, no, it's actually one of the worst, if not the worst. I'm not a Battle Tendencies fan, and I, frankly, never masked up once for Omicron. Now, we have this new XBB.1.5, and it's, once again, just a generation after a generation. So now we're at JoJo's Bizarre COVID Adventure Part 3, Stardust COVID Satyrs, and it's honestly probably going to be exactly like the original Stardust Crusaders. Formulaic and more of the same, to the point where people are going to get tired on it. But maybe that means COVID Part 4, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, COVID is Unbreakable. Maybe we will have the best COVID we've ever seen with the highest body count, much like how Diamond is Unbreakable is the best part of JoJo. That was a really long tangent for people that probably have no idea what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is or no concept of it. I hope they made it through that, because what a rambling mess that was to anyone who's not a freaking weeb. For all the recent concern that a new COVID-19 threat could come from China's ongoing surge, experts point out that XBB.1.5 appears to have arisen in the United States. It was first detected in New York and Connecticut in late October, according to GISAID, a global effort to catalog and track variants of the coronavirus. Trevor Bedford, a professional of computational biology at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center in Seattle, said XBB.1.5 has a growth rate similar to that of distant cousin BA.5. Yeah, that cousin badass number 5. What are these names? Why does Omicron have such a cool name? And these are like, weird spin-offs of the A-Team. Bedford has pegged its effective reproductive manner, the number of new infections expected to be caused by each infected person, at about 1.6, roughly 40% higher than its next closest competitor. I expect it to drive increased circulation in the coming weeks, Bedford wrote in the email. The increase may not be reflected in case numbers, he pointed out, since more people are testing at home, and the cases may not be counted unless they seek medical care or get a lab test to confirm the results. So I'd like to look to hospitalizations in the vulnerable age groups, such as seniors, as a better indicator of wave, he wrote. Slippery subvariants. That sounds like an album name. That's Bon Jovi's newest album. It's a concept album all about COVID. XBB.1.5 is the product of recombination, two descendants of BA2, the subvariant that drove a modest... My goodness, these words are getting to have no meaning. Descendants, BA2, subvariant. That drove a modest wave of cases in the U.S. in April, swapped pieces with their genetic code, resulting in 14 new mutations to the virus's spike proteins compared with BA2 and the new sublineage XBB. That was gibberish to me, aside from, hey, two different continuations of COVID got together and had a messed up COVID baby that's a new variant. Like, that's how that reads to me. Maybe I'm dumb, I don't know. XBB drove a wave of cases in Singapore this fall, but never gained much ground in the US here. It had to compete against a slew of co-circulating variants that had each independently evolved some of the same mutations, making them more equally matched. Still, scientists have been keeping a close eye on XBB and its spin-offs. Dr. David Ho, professor of microbiology and immunology at Columbia University, recently tested viruses engineered to have spikes of XBB and XBB1, as well as BQ1 and BQ11. My goodness. Is this getting tiring to anyone else, or just to me? Like, I know I'm reading it, but are you getting tired of listening to it? I mean, besides just the general being tired of hearing this COVID bogus like the rest of us. In his lab, it's antibodies from the blood of people who'd been infected, who were vaccinated with the original and new bivalent vaccines, and who'd been both infected and vaccinated. His team also tested 23 monoclonal antibody treatments against these new sublegions. Oh, monoclonal antibodies are good now. They were so bad. They were the bane of Joe Rogan. He was giving medical misinformation when he said monoclonal antibodies, but, now it's fine. He found that XBB1 was the slipperiest of them all. It was 63 times less likely to be neutralized by antibodies in the blood of infected and vaccinated people than BA2, and 49 times less likely to be neutralized compared with that of BA4 and BA5. Yep, sorry, Badass 4 and Badass 5, you just aren't cutting it. You gotta be more like Badass 1. Or XBB1. I don't have an acronym for that. Xenomorph Bad Bitch 1. There you go. In terms of immune evasion, Ho says these variants have shifted as far away from the antibodies we made to use against them as the original Omicron variant was from the COVID-19 viruses that preceded roughly a year ago. He called these levels of immune evasion alarming and said they could further compromise the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines. You mean further compromise the almost zero efficacy we had so far? I mean, if they had great efficacy, then why would we need continuous boosters that science has come to show us? Thank you, Dr. Malone, by the way. That only makes you more susceptible. His findings were recently published in the journal Cell. Ho said Monday that Xenoverse Bad Bitch 1.5 was the same story in terms of antibody evasion as Xenomorph Bad Bitch 1, which means it has the potential to escape the protections of vaccinations and past infections. It is also resistant to all current antibody treatments, including EvuShield. EvuShield. I don't know what EvuShield is, I won't lie. Another trick up its sleeve. Don't you love how we anthropomorphize a virus? It's got sleeves now. In addition to being highly immune evasive, Xenomorph Bad Bitch 1.5 has an additional trick up its sleeve that seems to be helping us fuel its growth. It has a key mutation at Site 486, which allows it to bind more tightly to ACE2, the doors the virus uses to enter our cells. The mutation is clearly letting Xenomorph Bad Bitch 1.5 spread better. Jesse Bloom, a computational virologist at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center, wrote in an email, "This mutation was first flagged by Bloom, who studies the evolution of viruses and viral proteins, as one that could be important for viral fitness. It has been confirmed by Yulong Cao at Peking University. It's got a better ability to get into the cells," Ryo Chugadori said. Again, I know I butchered that, but that's... You need to change your name. Just call yourself Roy. Which means it's more infectious. Still, experts say it's hard to know how much of Xenoverse Bad Bitches 1.5's growth can be attributed to the properties of the virus and how much simply to good timing. Coming out of the holidays, during a time which people are more likely to travel and socialize, gives any infection, whether it's flu, COVID-19, or RSV, more room to run. Most public health officials would have expected an increase in COVID-19 cases even before we knew about Xenoverse Bad Bitch 1.5, said Andrew Piscaz. What's up with these people having insane last names? Andrew Smith, a professor at Johns Hopkins, there we go, Hopkins, that's a name I can get behind, who studies viral replication. So whether the increase in COVID cases are occurring during the holidays or occurring because of the school interactions that people have or have had, whether it's specifically related to Xenoverse Bad Bitch 1.5, is still something that isn't clear. But both those things are probably contributing. There's a real long way of saying, we don't know. Most experts said that while they expect Xenomorph Bad Bitch 1.5 has the potential to cause more illness, they don't expect these infections to necessarily be more severe. It took us all of that to get to not more severe. Probably won't be more severe. No, everyone knew that anyway, in my opinion. Omicron wasn't as severe as the OG COVID, which wasn't actually as severe as they led us to believe. So if everything's just getting slowly downgraded, like the gene pool weakening, like dumb people having kids, why is it even news? Looking at the Northeast, where Xenoverse Bad Bitch 1.5 is thought to be causing the majority of infections, Michael Osterholm, who directs the University of Minnesota's Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy, sees no reason for hope. Osterholm notes that the updated boosters should provide some protection, even against the mighty immune evasive strain. Yeah, if this is Osterholm and he's at Minnesota, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, they still provide a level of immunity that may not prevent you from getting infected, you see, but may have significant impact on whether or not you become seriously ill in day, he said. I mean, right now, most recent data shows that they have those who will bivalent vaccine, but threefold lower risk of dying than those that don't. Honestly, you probably didn't understand what I said. I probably did that accent horribly, but the gibberish I said is the equivalent of the gibberish these scientists are spouting about. I don't want to say it's gibberish. All the science is real. This is clearly, it's a real virus. These are happening. The proteins are being studied. But the reporting about CNN makes it so much more bombastic and impactful, with so much more gravitas than it really actually needs. Americans have been slow to get the new boosters, however. According to CDC data, only 15% of Americans who are eligible have had an updated booster. Among seniors, the age 65 and older, only about 1 in 3 have had an updated shot. Experts also note that although antibody treatments won't work against this sublineage, other anti-rivals such as Paxlovid and Remdesivir should still be effective. This sounds like a sci-fi name from like Star Wars, whereas this one sounds like from Lord of the Rings. That is a death battle. Next time on Death Battle, Paxlovid versus Remdesivir. Like, that's what I expect when I hear this. Rapid tests continue to work, as do masks and ventilation and filtration of indoor air. So even as the virus continues to evolve, there's still good ways to protect yourself from getting COVID-19. I don't know. Okay, it's still Osterholm. Good. It doesn't appear to be causing any more severe illness, and so I think it's a very different situation circulating today than it had been a year ago. There's so much more inhumanity in the population that I don't think it's going to take off. I'm sorry, immunity. I meant to say immunity there, not inhumanity. It's my bad. Look, this. Why did I go through this? All this pointless CNN article for effectively nothing? To waste like 15 minutes of your guys' time of showing you it's nothing. Did you learn anything from this video aside from, oh my god, I wish this would stop? Great, then you're in the same boat with the rest of us. We just don't care anymore. There's bigger fish to fry than JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 version of COVID that isn't as effective and incredibly repetitive. We don't care.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I want us to move on. COVID's probably never going away, just like the flu is never going away. But it's much better now. There's bigger fish to fry. Stop with the fear-mongering. Stop putting out updates about less worrisome versions of a virus that wasn't that bad to begin with. And let's go back to, I don't know, making fun of Jennifer Lawrence for saying she was the first female action star. Something like that. Either way, just like and subscribe. That's really what matters at the end of this. That you like and subscribe so you can keep getting this mindless dribble from yours truly throughout the entire rest of 2023. I'm working real hard to grow this channel, so it would mean the absolute world to me. And you can also follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord if you'd rather hit me up in a more personal manner. That sounded weird. More personal than a YouTube comment. Although, obviously, comment down below as well. I'd appreciate it. I read and reply to almost all of them. Yeah, that's about it. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Words of Paradise.